The whispers started when fans noticed something strange on Instagram. It was late at night, the kind of quiet hour when people scroll aimlessly, and someone spotted it first. Demet Özdemir was no longer following Can Yaman. Within minutes, screenshots began to spread like wildfire across social media. Did she unfollow him? One fan posted. Or was it a glitch? Another asked. But deep down, everyone knew this wasn't an accident. For years, followers had watched their complicated connection unfold both on and off the screen. From the electric chemistry of her Kensi Kuss to their rumored romance behind the cameras, the story of Can and Demet had always felt too real to be fiction. But what seemed like destiny had slowly turned into distance, and now, silence. So why would Demet take such a visible, final step? Why now? Theories exploded online. Some claimed it was because of recent interviews where Can mentioned focusing only on work and no one else. Others believed it had something to do with the woman who had been quietly entering the headlines, Sarah Bluma. She had been seen near Can multiple times in Rome, smiling beside him at a private dinner, then again leaving a studio where he was filming. Nothing was confirmed, but for fans who remembered the days when Demet and Can couldn't stop laughing together, it was enough to reopen old wounds. What made it worse was Demet's new tone online. Her posts, once light and romantic, had taken a sharper edge lately, cryptic captions like "sometimes silence speaks louder than words" or "you can't lose what was never truly yours." Each one sent fans digging for meaning. And then came the unfollow. That single click sent a message no interview ever could. It was bold, cold, and final. "She's done," wrote one fan account. "No more pretending." But sources close to Demet later revealed that it wasn't just about pride or jealousy. There was something deeper, a reason no one had expected, something that traced back to a private promise made long before fame, long before their names became hashtags. Because sometimes, unfollowing someone isn't about anger, it's about healing. By the next morning, entertainment sites had already turned the unfollow into front-page news. Demet Özdemir cuts ties with Can Yaman, one headline screamed, "The final goodbye," asked another. But Demet didn't respond, didn't clarify, didn't even like a single comment. She went about her day as if nothing had happened, yet that silence was louder than any statement she could have made. For fans who had followed their journey for years, the pain was almost personal. They remembered the interviews where she called Can a beautiful soul, the photos from behind the scenes that showed them laughing between takes, the way he once described her as "the person who understands me without words." It all felt like watching a love story slowly unravel in real time. But what most people didn't know was that Demet had been struggling with the decision for weeks. According to one close friend, she had noticed small things. Changes in tone, missed calls, messages left unread. And every time she tried to reach out, the distance grew wider. It wasn't one big betrayal, the friend explained. It was 1,000 small ones. Then came the moment that sealed it. During an interview in Italy, Can had been asked whether he still spoke with Demet. His answer was polite, but it was the way he said it that broke her. He smiled faintly and replied, "I wish her all the best. We're both focused on our own paths now." For the world, it was just a diplomatic comment. For Demet, it was the confirmation she never wanted. The final sign that the chapter was truly over. That night, she opened Instagram and stared at his profile for a long time. Her thumb hovered over the following button. It wasn't anger, just exhaustion. She took a deep breath, and in one quiet motion, she unfollowed him. The screen blinked, refreshed, and suddenly, he was gone from her list. Just like that, years of connection had been reduced to a click. What hurt most was how symbolic it felt. This wasn't about jealousy or fame, it was about reclaiming space in her life. For too long, she had been defined by a story that no longer belonged to her. The unfollow wasn't a fight, it was freedom. Still, the media didn't see it that way. Paparazzi chased her for comments, journalists flooded her team with interview requests, and tabloids twisted her silence into drama. But Demet refused to play along. She didn't need to explain her piece to a world that fed on her pain. And yet, behind that calm, there was something she didn't expect, a private message that appeared 2 days later. From him. It wasn't public, and it wasn't long. Just 6 words, "You didn't have to do that." She stared at the screen, unsure whether to laugh or cry. After everything, after all the noise, this was the first thing he had to say? Demet typed a reply, paused, deleted it, then put the phone face down. Some things, she realized, were better left unanswered. But what she didn't know was that the real reason she unfollowed him was about to surface in a way no one saw coming, a truth buried in a story that went far beyond social media. For 2 days, Demet tried to move on as if nothing had happened. She went to rehearsals, smiled for cameras, even posted a story with her friends, but everyone could see it. Something behind her eyes had changed. It wasn't anger anymore, it was something quieter, deeper, resignation. Then, a Turkish magazine dropped an article titled, "The Real Reason Demet Özdemir Unfollowed Can Yaman." Most people rolled their eyes, another rumor, another theory. But this time, the source wasn't just gossip. It came from someone who had been part of Demet's team since her early days in acting, someone who had seen everything up close. According to the insider, Demet's decision had nothing to do with jealousy, or even Sarah Bluma. It was something far more personal, something that went back to a private agreement she and Can had made years ago, long before either of them became international stars. It happened after Erkenci Kas ended. They were sitting in a quiet cafe by the sea in Istanbul, away from cameras and noise. For once, it was just them. They talked about everything. Their careers, their friendship, and the strange bond that had always existed between them. That night, they made a promise, no matter where life takes us, let's always protect what we had, even if we're not together. For a while, they did. Even when tabloids invented stories, they never turned against each other. But slowly, the distance, fame, and the constant scrutiny began to erode that promise. Can's move to Italy, his new projects, and the people around him made it harder for Demet to reach him. Every attempt to stay friends started to feel one-sided. Then, something small but symbolic happened. Can unfollowed several accounts to clean up his Instagram feed, and Demet's was one of them. At the time, she didn't say anything. But deep inside, it stung. That bond they swore to protect had been quietly broken. Months later, when she saw him talking warmly about a new chapter and people who truly support me, while avoiding any mention of her, it all came back. She realized she was still holding on to something that no longer existed. The real reason Demet unfollowed him wasn't hate. It was acceptance. She finally let go of the promise she had been keeping alone. In her own words to a close friend, "You can't keep chasing someone who doesn't turn around anymore. I want peace, not reminders." Those words never made it into headlines, but they said everything. It wasn't about Can's interviews or Sarah's presence. It was about closing a door that had been left open for too long. Still, destiny wasn't done with them. Because just when Demet thought she had erased every trace of him from her life, fate would bring their names together again, in a way that neither of them could have imagined. A week later, the world witnessed something no one saw coming. Demet and Can were both invited to the Venice Television Awards, an international event celebrating global series and performances. Their names appeared on the guest list separately, but when fans noticed, chaos erupted. "They'll meet again," trended in multiple countries. The night of the event was electric. Cameras lined the red carpet, reporters buzzing with energy, waiting for that one moment, that one frame of the two of them in the same place again after everything that had happened. Demet arrived first. She was breathtaking, elegant in a flowing white gown, her confidence radiating even more powerfully than before. Gone was the soft, fragile energy people used to associate with her. This Demet was different. Stronger. Healed. She smiled gracefully for photos, answered questions about her projects, but when one reporter asked, "Do you expect to see Can Yaman tonight?" she simply said, "If life puts us in the same room, I'll greet him with respect." Nothing more, nothing less. An hour later, Ken arrived. Black suit, dark shades, calm composure. But when a journalist mentioned Demet's name, his confident smile flickered for just a second. "We've both come a long way," he said softly. "I'll always wish her well." Inside the venue, fate played its cruel game again. They were seated just a few tables apart. It wasn't planned, or maybe, as some believed, destiny had one last lesson for them. Throughout the night, they avoided each other's eyes. Cameras caught fleeting glances, Demet looking down as Ken walked by, Ken turning his head just as she laughed with someone else. It was a quiet dance of restraint, of unspoken emotions buried under the surface. But the moment that broke the internet happened near the end of the evening. During a segment honoring International Series, both were called on stage. Demet to present an award, and Ken as one of the special guests for the announcement. The audience erupted in applause as the two Turkish stars stood side by side again after years. It was only for a minute. A minute that felt like a lifetime. Demet handed the envelope to the host, then turned slightly, her eyes meeting Ken's under the blinding lights. He nodded gently, she smiled faintly, and for a heartbeat, the world held its breath. There were no words exchanged. No drama. Just that look. Two souls acknowledging a history that had shaped them both. Later, backstage, Ken approached her briefly. "You look happy," he said quietly. "I am," she replied. "It took time." "I know," he whispered. "I just hope you're doing okay." Demet nodded once, politely. "I am, Ken, really." Then she turned and walked away, calm, certain, and free. For the first time, it wasn't painful. It was peaceful. The kind of peace that comes when you no longer need closure, because you've already given it to yourself. That night, when Demet got home, she posted a photo from the red carpet, no captions, no quotes, just a single white heart emoji. Fans flooded the comments, trying to decode its meaning, but this time, there was none. The heart wasn't for him. It was for herself. And somewhere in Rome, a few hours later, Ken opened that same post and simply liked it. No comment, no message. Just that quiet acknowledgement between two people who once shared everything, and now shared only memories. Sometimes love doesn't end with a fight, a scandal, or a betrayal. Sometimes it ends with silence and understanding. And that was the unexpected reason all along. Demet hadn't unfollowed him out of anger. She had done it because she was finally ready to stop looking back. The days following the Venice encounter felt strangely quiet. The noise, the headlines, the endless analysis of every look and gesture, it all began to fade. For once, Demet didn't feel the urge to defend herself, explain, or react. She had said everything she needed to without saying a word. But fate wasn't quite done with her story yet. A week later, a Turkish journalist published an exclusive column titled Asterisk Inside the Silent Goodbye. Asterisk it spoke about that brief exchange backstage, the one where Demet told Can, "I am, really," before walking away. No photos, no recordings, just a whispered account. And somehow, that single detail touched millions of hearts. Fans filled the comments with bittersweet messages, "That's closure. This is how maturity looks. Love doesn't always mean staying." It wasn't drama anymore, it was respect. People started seeing the human side of both of them, two artists who once shared something deep and real, but who had finally chosen peace over pain. That weekend, Demet took a quiet trip out of Istanbul. She posted a photo of a seaside road at sunset, soft light spilling across the water, and a caption that read, "Sometimes you have to unfollow the noise to hear your own heart again." The post went viral instantly. Thousands commented with hearts, and even Can's most loyal fans couldn't deny the beauty behind those words. It was clear that this wasn't bitterness, it was release. Meanwhile, in Rome, Ken was finishing a commercial shoot when someone asked him off camera, "Do you still follow Demet?" He smiled faintly, looked down for a moment, and replied, "No. But some people, you don't need to follow to remember." That quote spread just as fast. People called it poetic, genuine, a quiet confession that maybe he still carried a piece of her with him. In truth, they both did. Because what they had wasn't built on fame or attention, it was built on moments that neither could erase, no matter how much time passed. And so, the story of their unfollow became something far bigger than gossip. It became a metaphor. Two people who loved, hurt, and grew, who realized that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away with grace. That night, Demet watched the city lights reflect off the sea. She wasn't thinking about the past anymore. She was thinking about everything ahead, the roles waiting for her, the peace she had fought for, the life that finally belonged to her alone. Her phone buzzed once. A notification. Not from him. Just a memory from years ago, an old photo from the Urkency cassette. She smiled softly, saved it to her private album, and turned off the screen. For the first time in a long time, she slept without wondering if he'd call. And in that silence, she found what she had been searching for all along, herself. Because the truth behind it all wasn't jealousy, pride, or anger. It was freedom. She didn't unfollow Can Yaman to erase the past. She did it to finally start living her future.